Hello again. Welcome to the second part of my Mass Effect Let's Play for the Possibility Space book. If you are interested more in the Possibility Space book, look below in the description. There's also a description of my goals with this playthrough and a table of contents. I also have a kitten who's rolling around demanding attention, so maybe he can bite the microphone for you all. In this playthrough, I will be at least starting the first visit to the Citadel, which is one of the very best parts of the entire series. So that's fairly exciting. But first,
Glad to see you're okay,
I'm
Commander.
going to talk to some people on the Normandy.
Commander, I'm glad to see you're okay. Losing Jenkins was hard on the crew, and I'm glad we didn't lose you too.
Things were pretty rough down there.
Yeah, you never get used to seeing dead civilians. Doesn't seem right somehow. But at least you stopped Saren from wiping out the whole colony.
I couldn't have done it without you.
We're
Aw.
Marines. We stick together. And I'm just sorry that we lost Jenkins.
Yeah, I wish I could have done something to save him.
Like, give better orders.
I was there. You did everything right. It was just bad luck. It's been a hell of a shakedown cruise. Our first mission ends with one Spectre killing another. The Citadel Council's not going to be happy about that. Probably use it to lever more concessions out of the Alliance.
You've got a good grasp of the situation. You a career man?
Yeah, a lot of biotics are. We're not restricted, but we sure don't go undocumented. May as well get a paycheck for it. Besides, my father served. I made him proud when I enlisted. Eventually. But is that why you're here? Because of your family?
I never met my parents. If they wanted to see me, they'd have contacted me after that mess a few years back.
Oh, that's right, a cruise. I imagine that bought you any post in the fleet. Word is we're heading for the Citadel, ma'am. Can you, tell me why?
The captain hopes the ambassador can get an audience with the council. Tell them what Saren's been up to.
Makes sense. They'd probably like to know he's not working for them anymore. Whatever happens, we'll be ready, Commander.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse. And the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
So I'm probably not going to do all the investigations for all the characters all at once, because that might be a little boring for you. I might do like one each run through the Normandy.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth. Or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
I always get the feeling that Dr. Chocolates is kind of a wild child.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
A dirty old lady. It would be amusing. I don't think there's anything down here. This is a place in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but not on this Normandy.
I'm glad you're okay, Commander. The crew could use some good news after what happened to Jenkins.
You weren't even there.
Jenkins was a valuable part of this crew.
Part of me feels guilty over what happened. If Jenkins was still alive, I might not be here.
You're a good soldier, Williams. You belong on the Normandy.
Thanks, Commander. I appreciate that.
Things were pretty rough down there. Are you okay?
I've seen friends die before. Comes with being a Marine. But to see my whole unit wiped out, and you never get used to seeing dead civilians.
Oh, you
But
will.
things would have been a lot worse if you hadn't shown up.
We couldn't have done it without you, Williams.
Thanks, Commander. I have to admit, I was a little worried about being assigned to the Normandy. It's nice when someone makes you feel welcome.
I think you're gonna fit in here just fine, Williams.
Thanks, Commander.
You're really boring, and so is Caden. I'd totally forgotten that this was Anderson's quarters.
Go speak to Joker when you're ready. Tell him to bring the Normandy into dock.
Like I said, I didn't do much running around the Normandy in my last playthrough. BroShep was all business. All killing business. I only did Miranda and Samara's loyalty missions. Miranda because I thought BroShep would be big on the Cerberus attaché, and Samara because I wanted to kill her and have Morinth. Again, for learning about what the characters were good for, not because, you know, I enjoy murdering them. Guess I'm going to have to use these characters for a little while when I get on the Citadel, so... it's probably worth at least pretending to care about their equipment. I may use Ash for a little while, actually, because that sniper rifle is fairly useful. But I think I'm going to go with Rex and Tally as my main crew.
Hey, Commander. Looking for some extra supplies before you head out?
What have you got?
Whatever you want. Well, as long as you don't mind paying for it. My stuff... Hell, the licenses alone have set me back more than I'd like.
I guess
But
this
no
is me
licenses,
starting
no goods.
skipping boring
Without the
conversations.
goods, I'm out of a job.
If you would prefer that I do or do not do this, then let me know.
Let's see what you've got.
You bet, Commander.
Oh, sure, the Spectre gear. Yeah, enough talking. Let's get to the good bits. I guess I'm supposed to go to Joker. I guess Presley's the only other person I could talk to anyway. Speaking of boring. His character is never replaced in the later Mass Effects, or perhaps he is by the Kelly Chambers and Specialist Trainer combo, who are infinitely more interesting.
Good timing, Commander. I was just about to bring us into the Citadel. See that taxpayer money at work.
Alright, so this is a really special moment. So I'm going to shut up and not talk over it.
The Ascension, flagship of the Citadel fleet.
Well, size isn't everything.
Why so touchy, Joker?
I'm just saying you need firepower too.
Look at that monster. Its main gun could rip through the barriers in any ship in the Alliance fleet.
Good thing it's on our side then.
Citadel Control, this is SSV Normandy, requesting permission to land.
Stand by for clearance, Normandy. Clearance granted. You may begin your approach. Transferring you to an Alliance operator.
Roger, Alliance Tower, Normandy out.
Normandy, this is Alliance Tower. Please proceed to Dock 422.
This is an outrage! The Council would step in if the Geth attacked a Turian colony?
The Turians don't found colonies on the borders of the Terminus systems, Ambassador.
Humanity was well aware of the risks when you went into the Traverse.
What about Saren? You can't just ignore a rogue Spectre. I demand action!
You don't get to make demands of the Council, Ambassador.
Citadel Security is investigating your charges against Saren. We will discuss the CSEC findings at the hearing, not before.
Captain Anderson, I see you brought half your crew with you.
In pink.
Just the ground team from Eden Prime. In case you had any questions.
I have the mission reports. I assume they're accurate?
They are. Sounds like you convinced the Council to give us an audience.
They were not happy about it. Saren's their top agent. They don't like him being accused of treason.
Alright, so before getting back to this, I want to talk about why the Citadel approach is, as I said, one of the best moments in the game. Mass Effect establishes itself as a science fiction epic, and part of being the science fiction epic is having a giant universe there to explore and to see. And that approach to the Citadel basically establishes the size of the universe, not necessarily by showing you how big it is, but by giving all the symbols of bigness. The music swells, especially the way like the clouds of the nebula briefly show the Citadel, and then the Citadel pops up as the music swells to the point of, I don't know, highest mystery being uncovered. In fact, if I really want to wax poetic and get into connect this with my book, then it shows that there is a space filled with possibilities out there. Like, at this point, the Citadel is, we know it's huge, we know it's important, and it could be anything. And that's kind of the best thing about this first game, and in some ways the whole series. But the first game is the best part of this, or has the best aspect of this idea that literally anything could be in this universe. And the Citadel approach, I think, shows that better than just about anything. Though, those symbolic weights of science fiction are not necessarily going to be seen by everybody, right? So, like, I am an old Babylon 5 fan. I've watched plenty of Star Trek. I've read quite a bit of science fiction, especially the 80s and 90s science fiction that seems most directly connected to this. So, I am primed for that kind of thing to really be meaningful for me. But if you are more into Hollywood science fiction, like movies specifically, then you have things like Alien, Aliens, Blade Runner. That's not this. That's not this huge, diverse universe science fiction. Likewise, most video games are based on those Hollywood movie kinds of things. Like the vast majority of science fiction video games are either Alien, where you have some sort of basically a horror situation where some sort of overwhelming force is attacking and everyone dies and you try to survive. The Dead Space games, I believe, are a good example of that. Or you have Aliens, where you have the sort of group of badass Marines fighting in impossible odds against an overwhelming force. Halo is an extremely good example of that, although Halo 2, with its Covenant politics, kind of gets into the big diverse universe, but they're still all on the other side, so I would still definitely lean it towards Aliens much more than I would this diverse universe, which is primarily literary and television. With that said, I think it's still pretty clear that the Citadel looks like an interesting place. So if you are not like opposed to science fiction in any way, it's probably still an appealing introduction, but it's may not have as much weight for you as it does for me. But I think what happens on the Citadel, like just this scene with Udina and the Council, give enough personal weight to Shepard's story that it stays motivating. And then, as we'll see, I think the game does a really good job, and not quite so clumsy a job, of introducing the universe via the Citadel. So let's get back to that.
Saren's a threat to every human colony out there. If they don't stop him, I will.
Settle down, Commander. You've already done more than enough to jeopardize your candidacy for the Spectres. The mission on Eden Prime was a chance to prove you could get the job done. Instead, Nihilus ended up dead and the beacon was destroyed.
That's Saren's fault, not hers.
Then we better hope the CSEC investigation turns up evidence to support our accusations. Otherwise, the Council might use this as an excuse to keep you out of the Spectres. Come with me, Captain. I want to go over a few things before the hearing. Shepard, you and the others can meet us at the Citadel Tower, top level. I'll make sure you have clearance to get in.
And that's why I hate politicians.
The high def mod makes Udina look gray. Like just his skin, it's interesting. It always seemed to be brighter than that. This seems to put him in the shadows, which I guess perhaps it's done with foreshadowing in mind. So let's break into his computer. He seems like kind of a jerk. Ah. Come on. That did go into the journal. I guess it doesn't pop up like later games in the series. Alright, so this is an interesting bit. We've met Turians, but that's the only aliens other than the Geth, I suppose. Yeah, let's consider the Geth aliens. That's fair. So immediately, right next to the humans, we just met the Council. So immediately right next to the humans, we get relatively alien-looking aliens, which I think is a really good way for the game to show the diversity of the galaxy. They're still in the humanoid-looking, although these are further away, but well, we'll talk about that later, I think, when we meet more aliens. Let's just see what they have to say.
This is serious. My reputation is at stake. I spoke with the Consort in confidence, and Hello there, human. Sincere apology, but I am here on business and cannot be distracted right now.
You seem distressed. Is there something I can do to help?
Alarmed response. You overheard that, did you? This is all going so wrong, and it is the Asari Consort's fault. She's the one who started all this.
So, immediately we get a good RPG thing to do where someone's in trouble and Shepard decides to help. It's kind of unclear exactly why Shepard is deciding to help, but it fits within the conventions of the genre, so let's carry on.
What did this Asari do to get you so upset?
I cannot speak more about this problem. It is too sensitive. Suffice it to say, she has compromised my authority as a diplomat.
Where can I find this Asari consort?
She is across the bridge from here. Her offices are easy enough to spot. Good day, human.
Pleased greeting. Human, it is always good to see your kind. I am Ambassador Kalen. Genuine query. Is there something I can do for you this day?
Why do you explain what you're about to say?
Our people communicate less through words and more through scent and slight movements. Plainly, we discovered our vocal expression was not enough to convey the feelings of our conversations to other species.
Why do you bother, Kalen? These Earth Clan don't really care about our ways.
Remorseful response, Din. You don't truly believe that, and if you do, I am very sorry for you.
This is actually, I don't want to say scientific, but more scientific-ish. There's no specific reason why our communication should be the way that it is. It's a bunch of different body parts that evolved in order to facilitate communication. They're all used for other things, like even the vocal cords are initially used for digestive purposes, finishing with the very end of digestive purposes, pooping. So having the Elcor base their communication primarily on non-verbal things is, I guess, a nod to the idea that aliens probably wouldn't actually speak like this. I have no idea if that's at all relevant to going in the book, but I mean, you're watching a Let's Play, you're not watching a Mass Effect's greatest hits thing. I am spitballing here.
Tell me more about your species.
Genuine enthusiasm. I delight in telling the history of my people. It is agreeable to share our culture with others.
Tell me about the history and origins of the Elcor.
The Elcor were just beginning to explore Council space when the Asari first made contact with us. With their help, we discovered the relay closest to our system, and from there the Citadel. Proudly, within one lifetime we established a regular route to the Citadel, and quickly became one of the more active species living on this great station.
I find it interesting that their history is basically a history of how they came to connect with everyone else. That is the most relevant history for the player to learn about at this point. Who are the Elcor? How do they fit with everyone else? But it's really not interesting. There is no conflict in that. There is nothing overcome. It's simply, we met and now we're here and we're here often. Part of this is to sort of explain, to be a comparison to humanity as the wolfling race and demonstrate demonstrate the conventional means of becoming part of the council races. Humanity is relatively unconventional, and the Elcor are clearly conventional. The Elcor are also nice about it, but the Volus over there next to this Elcor is not nice about it.
I'd like to know more about the culture of the Elcor.
Frankly, we Elcor prefer the safety and familiarity of our own colonies to the confines of space travel. Our society is built on small, tight-knit groups. Though we are always welcoming to outsiders,
doesn't even make sense.
Our government tends to be very stable. Our people are not very comfortable with sudden changes.
What do you do here?
Modestly, I work to bring the problems and the requests of the Elcor groups to the attention of the Council.
Ha! They only give us these positions to keep us quiet. The Council doesn't care about our races.
Chastising rebuke. Your tone is inappropriate, Din. This human is not to blame for your malcontent or your misconceived suspicions.
Goodbye, Ambassador.
Sincere farewell. Good day to you, human. Enjoy your time on the Citadel.
So, it's probably a good time to discuss alienness. The typical way that these sort of big, diverse science fiction space operas, I don't believe I've mentioned that term yet, so a space opera is a science fiction set story that doesn't really use science. It's much more based on personality, characterization, and politics. It is generally the sort of story that is used to describe, or it is generally in opposition to hard science fiction, which is science fiction based on conventionally understood concepts of science that might extend out into the future. Hard science fiction is extremely rare to find in basically anything that's not a book. The best example of hard science fiction in Hollywood is probably the movie Moon, which came out a few years ago. There's a little bit of hard science fiction in the first Alien with how awkward the technology is, but generally speaking, that's primarily used for books, or it's probably primarily used in books. So there's plenty of space opera in books as well. One of my favorite examples is the whatever. Examples don't really matter. Pretty much anything that I will have mentioned as a Mass Effect inspiration is going to be a space opera. Although I have been recommended this book called Revelation Space, which I have not read yet, but it looks to be a little less space opera-y and perhaps a little more hard science fiction-y. Anyway, the way that aliens, when aliens existed, these sorts of space operas are treated is not as alien aliens, but as I'm forgetting the word, reified sorts of humanity. So you get, I don't know why I said that. So reification is basically the idea of, well, it's where you take an idea and act like because you can describe the idea, it is real. So like, if you believe that there is a thing on justice because we can describe the ideal of justice, then that is a sort of reification of justice. Stephen Jay Gould's The Mismeasure of Man spends a lot of time talking about the reification of intelligence, but the concept of reification is applicable generally. And what science fiction does is it takes parts of humanity, ideals of humanity, or various cultures, and it reifies them into things that exist. So you get things like the stable, polite, well-grounded, but not ambitious Elcor. And, you know, these are, I don't know, the Switzerland of the Mass Effect world. They exist in order to be stable. And then you have the Volus, who are Sorry. Then you have the Volus, who are sort of the mirror image of the Elcor. They are ambitious. They are not necessarily well-grounded. They're maybe they're well-grounded, but they're not necessarily emotionally stable. You see Din Korlak here talking to Ambassador Kalen, and Kalen is nice and friendly, and Korlak is unhappy, and as we'll see when we talk to him, he's unhappy because well, he seems to be a fairly emotional and ambitious type, and humanity is in the way of his people. So essentially what you have here are two races who are sort of defined by them being extremes. The Elcor, or extremes in comparison to humanity. Humanity is somewhere in the middle here. Humanity's not wildly ambitious, or at least humanity is, we the players might perceive it, are not wildly ambitious. Udina over the next room might be. And perhaps the way that we might play Shepherd might be. But how you can even stand here and make the metaphor even more apparent. Oh, I can't get the camera. There. Humanity is directly in between these two. One is stable, one is ambitious. One is big, one is small. One's well-grounded, the other wants more. All of the races in Mass Effect are, to some extent, this way. Well, maybe not all of them, but all of the Council races and most of the sentient alien races. I guess there are very few non-Council races presented. But you have the Turians. The Turians are a very regimented, hierarchical aspect of culture. They're still comprehensible to humanity. There could be cultures on humanity, like the Turians are very clearly based on Rome, with maybe a dash of Japan in there. But their entire species is presented that way. This is pretty conventional for science fiction. If you go to Star Trek did this all the time. You know, the Klingons, the initial Klingons were supposed to be the Soviet Union compared to the Federation's United States. The Klingons were more like brutal, based on personal honor, saving face, to an extent that would be unsustainable in an actual culture, but was recognizably human enough that, you know, it didn't seem like bad storytelling. The Romulans are conniving, the Vulcans are logical. Here in Mass Effect, you get the Turians are disciplined, the Elcor are stable, the Volus are ambitious capitalists, the Solarians are innovative, the Asari are their own thing. They might be one of the more problematic and complex races. So this is actually slightly more similar to fantasy than other forms of science fiction usually depict aliens, because in fantasy you have elves and you have dwarves. Like the Turians. The Turians are basically the dwarves of this. They're more disciplined, more stable, more warlike, more stubborn than humans are generally. Humans are always wild, ambitious. Not necessarily ambitious as personal, but they grow very quickly. This causes the fantasy races to dislike them, the long-lived elves, who might be the Asari in this case. Though that's less obviously a parallel. So then you have the Volus, who are basically gnomes. Elcor here, ogres, trolls. There are lots of large fantasy races that sometimes are entirely alien enemy, not alien, entirely inhuman enemies, but sometimes ogres or trolls are things that can be talked to, reasoned with. Solarians also work for gnomes or goblins, depending on where you're getting your fantasy from. The Elcor are Tauren if we're doing World of Warcraft races. So, anyway, what this does is it occasionally presents these stereotypes, or presents these aspects of human culture in such a way as to be stereotypes. That can be a bit of a problem. Or simply acting like the races are inherently a certain way treats race as a thing that exists in reality and not as a social construct, etc., etc. So, you get certain races are more athletic than one another, certain races are more intelligent than one another, and you can quickly see how that gets problematic, especially if certain races are colored in a certain way. Mass Effect typically avoids that, but there are the Asari, and, well, we'll get to the Asari soon enough. So, anyway, this section of the game does a good job in introducing all these races and introducing the idea that this is that kind of universe. So let's talk to Din Korlagan. I guess he can prove what I just said.
EarthClan, you are in the wrong place, I think. Your ambassador is next door in the large office.
Chastising remark. Don't be so rude, Din. At least introduce yourself.
I am Din Korlak, Volus ambassador. Is there something I can do for you, EarthClan?
He's not so bad, but I occasionally cannot handle the Volus breathing thing, so I will definitely be skipping through some of those regardless. I think the guy we talked about, the Shadowbreaker, in a little bit is the worst of those, but...
You seem to have a bit of a chip on your shoulder, Din.
You humans are new to the Citadel, and yet the Council has granted you great favor.
Wolfling race.
Chastising rebuke, Din. Your species has always been granted many concessions. Volus territory has expanded tenfold.
Details. We still have no real say in the decisions that affect Citadel space.
What is this place?
You are in the embassy for the Volus and the Elcor.
Your ambassador is next door, in his own office.
In this shared space, I aid my fellow Volus when I'm not being interrupted.
I'd like to know more about the Volus.
I'm sure our history and culture would bore you, EarthClan.
Actually, I would like to know more about your history.
My people came to the Citadel shortly after the Asari and Solarians had discovered it. We were instrumental in establishing a standardized galactic economy. However, despite our long association with the Citadel and our many contributions to galactic society, we still do not hold a seat on the Council.
There are lots of different culture groups throughout history who have been associated primarily with the economy. This can occasionally be problematic. We could perhaps say that the Volus are Renaissance Italians, or medieval Jews, or, well, the Greeks in classical times before Alexander took over, and after the Romans smacked down the brief Greek empires. A lot of Americans view Japanese and Koreans in this way. Right now it's not specifically problematic to use that term again, but the fact that the capitalists of the Galactic Empire are short, squat, probably ugly at least in speech, with a chip on their shoulder kind of goes along with a lot of stereotypes of the groups that tend to be less politically and militarily expansive and more economically expansive.
Tell me about Volus culture.
We are tribal by nature, but our ways are not violent. We barter and trade our lands and tribe members in order to increase status. Larger tribes often engulf smaller ones and eventually split again. Our society is very malleable, and our government is always shifting and changing. Since we're not physically adept, we trade our services for protection.
What is it you do here?
I look out for the best interests of the Volus people. No easy task considering how often we are overlooked by the Council.
Chastising rebuke, Dan. The Council favors your species greatly.
You are naive. The Earth Clan will be invited to the Council long before our species will.
The Phoenicians, the ancient Phoenicians. Maybe every time I talk to a Volus, I'm going to think of some other historical parallel.
Why aren't the Elcor or Volus part of the Council?
All species must prove themselves before they join the Council. All but the Earth Clans, it would seem.
Dismissive. Ignore the Volus ambassador, human. He is incorrect in his assessment.
Really? How long have we been waiting? How long do you think we'll continue to wait? Bah, this talk is wasted on the humans.
Goodbye, Ambassador.
Yes, yes. Good day, Earth Clan.
The Keeper over there. We'll see if I can remember that when the time comes. I always remember that one. There's one near where you find Tali that I always seem to forget. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Good day, Commander. The human ambassador is up the stairs, first room on the right.
You know who I am?
Yes, I receive reports on all newly arrived dignitaries and notable people.
Notable?
What's your name? What do you do here?
My name is Sephiria. I'm the administrative assistant for the embassies.
You seem to be distracted.
The embassies are the hub of all Citadel politics. When you represent trillions of citizens, it tends to get a little busy.
What is this place?
This is the Presidium. More specifically, you are at the Citadel embassies. If you have more questions, please access Avina.
What's that?
Oh, Avina is the virtual guide for the Citadel. Feel free to access the terminal yourself.
I should be going now.
Have a pleasant day.
I probably won't. That's boring. I probably should. Just because it's boring doesn't mean that new players don't use it as an introduction. If I were streaming, then I could put this up for a vote. But I'm not. He said cheerfully.
I can't believe I landed a job here. This place is fantastic.
I might talk about the codex specifically in a little bit and scroll through it a bit, but I think I want to talk about how the game introduces itself. Without that first.
Human, delighted, welcome. It is good to meet you.
Yeah. Where's the bar? Oh, that's why I came.
Commander Shepard, I didn't expect to see you here. Did Ambassador Udina send you?
Have we met before?
No, but I know you well enough. I'm Executor Palin, head of CSEC. It's my job to know when someone like you arrives on the Citadel.
Racist.
Was there something you needed, Commander?
I get the feeling you're not too fond of humans.
No, I just don't trust your kind. Not yet. You humans are eager to take all the power you can get, and you're being given a lot. the Council wants to make humanity their new favorite pet, that's their business. But I don't have to like it.
To carry on with the discussion of how Mass Effect treats race, another aspect of that is that it treats race and nationality as the same thing. Humans are all either part of the system's alliance or they are specifically not. You don't ever see a human who becomes a member of some other state. You see them join the sort of meta state of the Council or CSEC. See some of that in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but there isn't a human who ever joins the Turian Empire or the Turian hierarchy, nor are there Turians who join other races, nor are there differing political groups within each race that are external to the state. So the Asari are always treated as the same political entity, even though the game describes them as a collection of republics. The Krogan may be divided between Rex and Reeves factions, but those factions are not independent states. There are a few sort of external entities. Aria's Omega is one of those. The mercenary groups centered around Omega also sort of count on that. Well, that's in Mass Effect 2 more than here. But those are never treated as actual states or nationalities or whatever. They are treated as aberrations, things to be smacked down. With the exception of dealing with Aria a little bit in Mass Effect 3. So what this does is it continues to reinforce the idea that all members of a race are the same. So this guy is basically turning that idea on humans. He's saying all humans are the same, all humans want power because the political entity of humans wants power. I would say this is actually one of Mass Effect's biggest weaknesses, by folding the interests of the individual into both their species and their nationality. Having all those things be treated as the same with a few exceptions is really superficial. I don't really know that there's a way around that. It sort of subverts that here by this guy sort of being racist in that way about humans, but it never really subverts that except for a handful of the characters who join your crew, but it never subverts that at a wider political level. I guess we'll see what Shepard has to say.
The Council treats us like second-class citizens. We have to fight for everything we get.
Good. Then fight for it. But don't expect the rest of us to just sit back and let you take it. I'm a busy man, Commander. Are we done here?
What do you know about the Spectres?
They're the right hand of the Council, or so they like to be called. More like the underhanded side of the Council.
What do you have against the Spectres?
I can't abide any organization that considers itself above the law. Especially when it's left up to each individual Spectre to decide when and how to bend the rules.
Let's see what she has to say for argument's sake. I might get renegade points, but whatever.
Sometimes you have to bend the law to keep people safe.
I've been with CSEC for 30 years. I've never had to break the law to do my job, not once.
Yeah, right. You expect us to believe none of your officers are corrupt?
There are over 200,000 CSEC agents. Some of them are going to be bad. But we don't turn a blind eye to corruption like the Spectres do. We do our best to find and punish any officer who breaks the law. Spectres. They'll never come under that kind of scrutiny.
That's a rather pointed remark. The game is still sort of clumsy, and getting the information that's most useful to you out in the open immediately here, I suppose. Not quite as clumsy as in the introduction, but yes, he's talking about Saren and he doesn't even know it.
The galaxy needs people like that. People who do the dirty jobs.
I agree. But they need to be held to a higher standard. They need to be accountable. Saren's out of control. We both know that. But because he's a Spectre, the Council doesn't want to do anything about it. Is that the kind of person this galaxy needs?
But not all Spectres are like Saren.
True, but the potential is always there.
Tell me about CSEC.
CSEC provides necessary police and security services throughout the Citadel. We're a civilian government agency, though many of our members have had military training. Of course, as the CSEC representative to the Council, I spend most of my time liaising between the two.
Tell me about your investigation into Saren.
Sorry, Commander. I don't make a habit of giving out details about ongoing investigations.
I'll be going now.
Goodbye, Commander.
So in the last, first of these Let's Plays, the most recent of them, the only one before this, I'm not sure I did a really fantastic job of talking about Mass Effect like someone who was actually writing a book about it, and here I am kind of going overboard with that, so this may calm down, or it may not, who knows. Maybe this will be a 100-hour journey you get to go along with me on. I would prefer not. I have no idea if you would prefer not, though. Side quests. Here's the bar.
This place seems strange. Wish there were more humans around.
A group table of humans there. There's a dude there looking skeezy.
Don't believe the rumors. The Consort would never reveal her secrets.
Of course she would. She'd be talked to...
I suppose. Besides, Nick, the Consort's nothing like the girl back on the colonies. She's...
You don't have to do it with her. You can just talk to her if you want.
Is that all you did, Jazz? Just talk?
I didn't say that.
Ha! I bet you did too.
Shut up, Fredericks.
Everyone's all about the Consort.
What do you want? Oh, Commander. Is there something I can do for you?
Relax, Private. This isn't an inspection.
Right, sorry. What can I do for you, Commander?
What can you tell me about the Asari Consort?
Well, she's an Asari who works here as... That is, she helps people with things.
You never went to see her, did you, Fredericks?
No, I never did. I couldn't afford it. It costs half a year's credits just to go in and talk to her.
Can you at least tell me where I can find her?
Sure. She's across the bridge from the embassies.
Thanks, kid. Have fun. Try not to get into too much trouble.
Ash, you're a real jerk.
Have fun, that is.
Now this is a fun little bit.
I don't have time to talk now. I'm very busy.
I guess not.
Hello, Commander. Can I get you something?
What have you got?
Information, mostly. Would you like to know about some points of interest nearby?
Information isn't a drink.
What's going on around here?
Well, you found the embassies. Not much going on here. Across the bridge, you'll find the bank, the Emporium, and Shaira's. If you haven't heard of her, you soon will. If you need supplies, you can try the markets one level below. For entertainment, I try Flux or Cora's Den.
What is Shaira's?
The Consort? She entertains clients who can afford her services. Most of the diplomats and ambassadors have visited her at one time or another. She's a very powerful woman, but also very respected.
There's a little bit of Firefly going on here. The Consort seems to be fairly similar to the way that companions were treated there. Possibly a prostitute, but one who has the power in the relationship, and one who can be respected within society. I have no idea if that's a deliberate Firefly sort of idea, but given that this was designed during sort of peak Firefly, it seems more than slightly plausible.
Tell me about Flux and Cora's den.
Well, Flux has gambling and dancing, certainly more lively than this place. Cora's den, on the other hand, well, let's just say it's livelier and deadlier, all at the same time.
Goodbye.
So long, Commander. Have a pleasant day.
Keeper.
Sure is peaceful here.
Alright, so this has been, what, like 6 hours, and I haven't even left the embassies yet?
Welcome to the Presidium.
I think I'm going to skip Avina for now. So everyone is talking about the Consort, so I'm going to head over there because this fits directly in with what I was saying about how races are treated and how I was going to talk about the Asari later.
That's enough. I've had my office rearranged 5 times now.
5 times? Why? What do they want?
How should I know? It's not like Keepers offer an explanation for what they're doing.
And yet, everyone just lets them go on doing whatever it is they do.
What choice do we have? If you try to stop them, they just shut down and another one replaces it.
Just strange that we know so little about them.
Not to mention frustrating.
So scattered throughout this game, and all of the series, are these little conversations that you overhear. In Mass Effect 3, they actually become quite important. Just the fact that the people are talking, having these conversations, providing extra color, like they're pointing you at the Keepers. What are the Keepers? Why do they do what they do? It's one of the best things about the game. In fact, I would go so far as to say that when your companions jump in and have conversations, as I'm sure we'll see fairly soon, it may be the consistently best part of the game. It just makes the story, makes the characters, makes the whole world feel real. Real might not be the word. Engaging. And it's not that hard. Some games don't do it, some games do. More games do these days, but I guess if we're going to be analytic about it and carry on, yeah, let's do it with that when the companions start talking.
Welcome, I am Nelina. I don't recognize you as one of our expected clients today. Would you like me to see when the Consort will be able to meet with you?
Can't I just go in?
I'm afraid not. Yeah, you must understand there are many who seek the Consort services. But if you wish to leave your name, she'll make every effort to meet with you.
What do you do here, Nelina?
I'm one of the Consort's acolytes. Many of the people here today will not see the Consort, but they expect to be attended to just the same. It's our job to ensure that they leave contented.
What exactly do you attend to?
Well, each acolyte has her unique abilities. Some soothe with song, others with conversation. As much as possible, we seek to match the needs of our clients to the skills of our acolytes. My specialty is touch. My fingertips can find every tension point in your body and relieve it.
I'd like to try out your services.
Excellent. I'll add you to our client list. We should be able to see you in 3 or 4 months.
Shepard needs a massage.
Nobody's worth that much of a wait.
Well, that's not for me to judge. I have your name and you'll be contacted. Is there anything else?
What is the Consort? What does she do?
It's difficult to explain. She's many things to many people and something different for each. Some seek her for advice, some for entertainment, others still for pleasure. Most of the time, our clients won't realize what they were seeking until after she has provided it for them.
You make her sound like some kind of oracle.
No, not in the usual sense. She's merely a woman with remarkable compassion and a generous spirit. I suggest you make an appointment and see for yourself.
I think I'm done here.
Oh, well, I hope you'll return again in the future. We always enjoy seeing new clients.
Nelina.
Yes, Shaira?
Send the commander up to see me. I wish to speak with her.
Yes, of course, mistress.
Butt cam. Sorry, that's a mysterious
It
moment.
appears the consort has taken notice of you. She'd like to meet with you now.
Where do I go?
Just head upstairs. She'll be waiting for you.
I see even the humans find the consort irresistible.
This is my first time. I can't believe I didn't come sooner.
Welcome. It is a pleasure to see you. You're with the Alliance? My brother's a private back on Earth.
So this woman's voice actress is Magma. Well, she's been in a lot of things, but she's Magma in X-Men Legends, who was the main character. And it's a really memorable voice actress. It always throws me when I hear it. She's in a lot of games. She's in Dragon Age as side voices too. And she also plays Kasumi in Mass Effect 2, but she kind of tones it down a little here. But this is full Magma voice.
The consort is a wonderful person. She has quite a gift.
I don't know about you all, but whenever I start a new game that has a lot of voice acting, I spend like the first 5 minutes of every conversation or interaction trying to figure out who the hell that voice actor was. But that one, I never have to worry about figuring out because, yeah, it's very memorable. Anyway, so this is our introduction to the Asari in the same way that we already met the Elcor and the Volus. And if we were taking the Asari down to their core reified trait, it's sexy, and that's problematic. I don't want to sound like an academic, but saying that you have an entire race built around sexy is not a good first impression, especially as they are nominally, although we haven't seen that yet, or we haven't officially seen that yet, although I'm pretty sure it's in the Codex, nominally a race of matriarchs, or a matriarchy, entirely female, although it's difficult to use the term female or male for a race that only has one gender. They present as female humans. And thus always appealing to the straight male gamer who is supposedly the majority of gamers. And Mass Effect certainly has those. I am included in that, I suppose. But one thing the Mass Effect series has a whole lot of are queer or female fans, well beyond your average blockbuster game. So, as problematic as the Asari are when they're introduced, I think the game eventually does a good job of making it clear that they are something more. However, their introduction, especially via the Consort here, presents them as feminine, compassionate, sexy, basically femininity incarnate. The Oracle thing is a good sort of clue into that. The Oracle at Delphi is always considered a sort of feminine counterbalance to masculine power within Greek legends and legends of their politics or semi-histories. Well, let's go talk to Shaira and see what that might mean. have 3 games of the Asari, so we'll have plenty to say.
That is close enough, Commander. I've heard a great many things about you since your arrival here in our Citadel.
What exactly do you do?
That depends on your needs. I offer advice to some, comfort to others. I have a certain problem that could use your expertise.
Maybe I can help.
I have a friend, Septimus, a retired Turian general. I won't discuss the details, but he wanted me to be more than I could be. We had a falling out. Now he spends his days in Korra's den, drinking and spreading lies about me. If you would speak to him as a fellow soldier, I believe he will listen to you and let the matter be.
What happened between you?
I respect his privacy too much to go into the details. If he wishes to tell you what happened, that is his prerogative.
What exactly do you want me to tell him?
Appeal to his sense of honor. Remind him of his position as a general. If you can convince him to stop spreading lies about me, I would be very grateful.
That's rather forward. Shouldn't you ask first, Shaira?
Now I must ask you to take your leave. I have many clients waiting to see me.
I'd forgotten you had to run a side quest before you got the big Shaira talks to Shepard scene, but
That's understandable. Many are a little unsure what to expect their first interview.
Don't get me wrong. I've only heard good things about the Consort. It's just...
The unknown forces us out of our comfort zone. It forces us to be vulnerable.
Exactly. That's just what I was thinking.
Good. Then we are ready to begin.
I'm thinking about Volus penis. And now you are too, and I'm sorry about that. You should not be punished for my dirty mind. Alright, I think I am going to take a little break now. Maybe I'll go check out the Krogan statue. Nah, I'll take a break. We'll talk about the Krogan statue when I come back, which may be, 3 seconds in the future for you. Let's see, it depends on how long this video is. So, you know how I said that I might be back in 3 seconds for you? That was actually about a week for me, which is why this one took a little longer. Sorry, I had a few games to review that took up most of my green criticism time. Rather than attempt to recreate my train of thought from exactly what I had been talking about, I think I shall just say goodbye here and record the next section as soon as I can. I look forward to actually doing something in addition to simply talking to you about racism, so that should be exciting. In the next installment, I believe I shall go to the council and progress on the quest to figure out what's up with Saren. As ever, please check out the information below for how to learn more about the book, how to donate to me and the book, what the status of the Let's Play is, and all kinds of other fun stuff like comments or the like. I don't know. Anyway, this has been part 2 of the Possibility Space Let's Play of Mass Effect, and I will see you in part 3.